Again, this won't take more than about 10 minutes, and then we'll open it up to the floor. On March 21st, Friday night, at about 7:11 and 47 seconds, 911 dispatch, and these boards will be up for everybody to see as long as you want to see them, dispatched a call. There was a Latin male adult in a bright red jacket, approximately.
Why don't you put that in the middle? Put it in the middle.
I'm going to leave them here after.
No, you could move it here so that
Thank you.
So move it all the way over so we can put that up. About 6'1", 200 pounds, black pants, has a gun on his hip, a black handgun. About a minute later, there was an update that the male is pacing back and forth by a chain link fence near a bench. About less than a minute later, the reportee says that the reportee will stay on the phone until the police department are on scene. Yeah, we're going to leave these boards up. Everybody, I'm saying what they say. At about 7:14, subject is still on scene per the reporting party. He is eating chips or sunflowers, but resting his hand on the gun. At about 7:15, a sergeant from Ingleside Station and another officer go on scene and start a search of the area looking for the person described by the reporting party who is not a police officer. At about 7:18 and 49 seconds, that same reporting party, again, who's not a police officer, heard shots fired. The shots that were fired by the police department. These were some of the other articles that were on Mr. Nieto, Alejandro Nieto, a 28-year-old Latin male, was the person that was shot and killed on that Friday night. He is the person that was described here as having a gun.
Yeah, well, who said it was a gun? Somebody from the community.
If everybody could just, excuse me, I'm almost done. What Mr. Nieto had was he had a black taser pistol.
Go kill yourself, pig.
What happened, so Mr. Nieto had this pistol as described here in a holster, much like the one I'm wearing right now. This is what it looked like. The distance from which the officers engaged Mr. Nieto was about from here to the back of the room, about 75 feet up a hill. His back was to the west with the sun setting behind him, the officers looking at the horizon. This is the actual weapon that Mr. Nieto had. This is what a real gun looks like. In the holster, please let me finish, and then again, I'll stay here as long as you need. Right here is what this taser looks like in the holster. Right here is what a gun looks like in the holster. When the officers originally engaged, do we have that? When the officers originally engaged Mr. Nieto, he had his hands behind him. They asked him to show his hands. Mr. Nieto, by profession, is a security guard, but for mental health reasons, he is prohibited.
That's not true! Don't say that!
Please let me. I'm not implying anything.
Don't say that!
All right. The reason Mr. Nieto could not have a gun. That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm trying to, again, what I'm saying aren't things I'm guessing at. It's a fact that Mr. Nieto was prohibited from having a firearm for reasons that I don't want to upset anybody about. Anyway, you're right, again, he did not have a gun. He had a taser exactly like this. When the officers asked him to show his hands, he drew the taser from the holster, and these particular tasers, I don't want to scare anybody, as soon as they're drawn, they emit a dot, a red dot. If you look in the back, I want everybody to look in the back to show the dot. The dot shows. So when the officers asked him to show his hands, he produced the weapon, and the officers saw the laser sight on them tracking. They believed it to be a firearm, and they fired at Mr. Nieto. Mr. Nieto went to the ground. Mr. Nieto went to the ground. He assumed in a prone position. Again, he acquired the dot, continued to track as other officers arrived until Mr. Nieto stopped firing. They went to him, rendered aid. He did not survive his injuries. Mr. Nieto did not have a criminal record at all. He did have a restraining order from another person. So at this point in time, that's all we know. The officers tracked by a laser sight believed, because of the situation, the call, the appearance, that he had a firearm. They fired in defense of their own lives, and Mr. Nieto did not survive. So with that, we do not know at this point in time how many times Mr. Nieto was hit. It was several. I do not know where you're coming up with the number of 14. We will know that, and I will give that to the public as soon as we get it from the medical examiner's office. I'm now going to give the microphone to President Mizuko, who will explain to you what the firearm discharge review policy is and how it goes forward at the police commission. At that point in time, it will be open to the floor.
Thank you. On behalf of the commission, we want to tell you that there's a process. I want everybody to listen about the process. Killing people. Look, I'm asking for you to listen to what the chief has to say, what we have to say. Listen to the facts. We operate on facts, and this is a terrible tragedy. And our heart and our prayers go out to Mr. Nieto. But we don't want to, this is not about a certain organization or people making allegations. This is about the facts. So please, let's be patient. The chief, let me tell you about the facts. There's multiple investigations. The Office of Citizens Complaints, which is here tonight, that we're on the scene, will conduct an investigation. The Homicide Division conducts an investigation. All this information is brought to the Police Commission. And we, your police commissioners, the liaison between the community and the police department, we review every officer-involved shooting to see it's within policy and procedure, whether or not the officers used adequate or appropriate force. But we do that through a process, and we do that after learning the facts. And that's all we ask, is for your patience. We ask for your prayers for the Nieto family, but we ask that you all be reasonable and logical and let this play out through the system. And we are the system.
Where was your guys' patience?
Screaming and hollering here is not helping anybody right now. We need to move past emotion.
Yo, shut up! Have respect! The father is here! Shut up! Have respect for Alex, too!
They're murderers! Fuck you!
Yo, shut up! Yo, chill!
Thank you.
So at this point in time, I want to open it up for comment, and I would ask that, again, if everybody would show respect, perhaps members in the first row here, which represent the family, would like to go first.
So attention everybody, please. I am Eli Flores. I am a friend and brother of Alejandro Nieto. Alex, to me, was not blood, but we treated each other as blood. Alex wanted to be a probation officer. So everybody saying F the cops, F this, F that, have respect for Alex and his time. Alex has passed away. Please have respect. Stop shouting, stop screaming, stop cussing. Have respect for him and his family that are suffering right now. His close family, have respect. Okay, then have respect for him. Thank you for loving him, but please.
That's why it's about accountability.
Thank you. Okay, we have a few questions that we would like to ask. One is this: how far away were the police And what kind of warning did they provide to Alex? Did they have a loudspeaker of some sort? Did officers approach with weapons drawn? Why? Now that you're saying that he pointed the laser at him, then I can imagine that this yellow spot is clearly visible. 7 p.m., it is still daylight outside. So why wouldn't officers know immediately that that is not, that does not look like that. That does not look like that, sir. And one other thing, officer, why was there no call for ceasefire once one of the intelligent, professionally trained officers could tell that that is a taser? Why didn't someone call for ceasefire? I am a United States Marine Corps veteran. I understand protocol with firearms. Ceasefire is the response that should have been made. Instead, I have witnesses' accounts. Some say that up to 50 bullets were shot at that time. So I would like to hear an approximation, at least, of how many shots were fired at Alex. One other thing before I get off right here. What were the positions of the officers? You say they were 75 feet away. Had they surrounded him with weapons drawn? How long have those officers been on the force? Will you succumb and invite an outside investigation, a federal investigation into this matter? All concerned people, listen to this. You should all file a complaint at the San Francisco Office of Citizen Complaints. If you have any information regarding this case, if you witnessed Alex that day, if you saw what happened, please contact our attorney, Adante Pointer, with the law offices of John L. Burris. They also represented Oscar Grant. And so, this is the phone number. This is the phone number. Take it down. Take it down. 510-839-5200. One more statement and I will conclude here. Some people have already stated that they are being intimidated by the San Francisco Police Department for being involved with this case. Please, sir, make sure that you do not have any rogue officers trying to intimidate, humiliate us, and chill our free speech. First Amendment right. Thank you very much.
If anybody,
Stop killing cops! Stop killing cops! Stop killing cops! Yeah, there's time. There's time. Yeah.
so in answer to some of the questions, if anybody didn't get any of those phone numbers that this gentleman put out, I'm sure he would stay and provide those phone numbers to you afterwards. I would also echo what he said. If anybody saw anything, please make that, if you're not comfortable giving it to the police and you wanted to give it to OCC or whoever you wanted to give it to, it's important that we have every single person's account of what they may or may not have seen on that particular night. As far as some of the questions that were asked, the officers, as I said, were 75 feet away when they fired, so they were no closer than me to the back of the room. What they did was they triangulate. That's the way we are trained, to get far apart from each other, so that if there's engaged in a gunfight, you wouldn't both get hit at the same time. As far as a warning, they asked Mr. Nieto to show his hands, to which he responded, "You need to show your hands." And then he drew his firearm. The weapon that he drew. What else did you have? It was yellow. They could not see from where they were that it was anything but a black weapon, as demonstrated here. This is what it looked like in the holster. Commissioner Mizuko tried to explain the process by which this is investigated. That's the way we're going to go forward with it. Anybody that wants to ask for additional investigation, again, we would be open and welcome to cooperate with any outside investigation. With that, I think that the thing to do would be perhaps to line up, and so that we have so many people to speak. try and limit yourselves. If it gets to be more than a couple minutes and there's no question in the future, statements are welcome. But again, I'm just asking you to be considerate of each other because so many people are here, and I'll walk the microphone out.
We have another mic.
I'm sorry, and there's a member here. Oh, first, if we could, Connie Weber, who's a longtime Mission District resident, would like to say something, and then I'm going to give it to a representative.